I guess that means we're starting.
Welcome to the podcast.
See this guy. Get out of here. We're shooting a podcast.
Hey, we're shooting a podcast. You get out of here.
We don't want to see your muscles.
Your muscles are too big. His muscles are too big for this
scare
podcast.
people. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't need to lock the doors. It's
I told you,
Yeah,
lock
we
the
need
doors.
to lock the doors. Yeah.
Anyway. Welcome to another episode of Cobbler with Cobblers, a series where we sit down with our bootmakers over a delicious cobbler and get to know them a little bit better. Today, I have a special guest, the Nick of Nick's Handmade Boots. So honored to have you here, Nick.
Thank you for having me here. I'm the Nick from Nick's Handmade Boots, not the owner. Not the owner. So just want to clarify there. I'm just a guy that works here, but I'm happy to work here.
I mean, to be fair, currently you are the Nick of Nick's Handmade.
Yes, I don't think there's any other Nicks at this business. I'm asked way too much about it, and it's a blessing and a curse. Some people, you know, when they tell me like, "Hey, I love your business so much, and I had a great interaction with your employees." At that point, I'm just like, we're going down a road and I can't stop it. I just got to accept it and say, you know what? I'm glad you had a great experience with this company, but yeah.
Just roll with it.
Yeah, just roll with it. Yeah, certainly.
So again, we're kind of moving away from the normal topic, cobbler with cobblers. However, you're currently not a cobbler, correct?
No. So I work in sales as of right now. I worked as a cobbler for a little over 2 years. Did a few different things. Mostly bottoming, which is we're putting those midsoles and the outsoles on the boots. A little bit of heels, lasting and shanking as well.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, today, Kelsey made us some cobbler. Kelsey, what did you make for us this time?
What did I make, Nick?
I asked you to make peach bourbon, and I saw you're soaking the peaches in bourbon. So
There's some bourbon in there.
I'm real happy
All
about
right.
that.
This
Yeah.
is gonna be a fun interview then.
Yeah, even if you didn't burn it off, that's all right with me.
I'm pretty sure it burned off.
All right, let's dish up first.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. It looks really good. Sorry, that might be really loud in the mic.
It's all right.
No, you're
It's
fine, just do it again.
Kelsey's job to edit it out. It's fine.
Good crust on here too.
I wish we had a camera that people could see the faces you make. No? Okay.
You don't want to be on the camera, Kelsey.
No, but the thing is, people talk to me enough off camera. I'm going to have the mic soon.
Yeah. It's precarious.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah, you did it right. I could actually taste the bourbon in there.
Is it too much?
No, it's good.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, let me get a bite here before we keep
Thank
going.
you for making that.
God.
Oh, you're welcome. It was very fun.
Super tasty.
Oh God. Once again, well done, Kelsey. So you started off working in production, you now work in sales. I can't remember, how long ago did you start working at Nick's?
I think it was like a month after you started working here.
Okay.
Right. So I think it was, what was that? June? Was it June-ish?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Of
It's in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in 2020. It's kind of a weird time to move to another place and pick up work because as there's the pandemic and it was just a strange time
Right.
for sure.
So you moved to Spokane
Yep.
from somewhere else, correct?
Yeah. So from the Midwest, I was looking at a couple different companies with handmade boots. And I'm lucky I was able to land the job here. Now looking back, I think this is like the best opportunity I could have gotten with handmade boot companies here. Yeah.
Right on. Why'd you want to get into boots? I mean, was that just something you saw an ad and you're like, that sounds cool? Or is that...
I had originally saw like some different job postings, and I thought that's very bizarre that there's like still in the United States, there's like handmade boots being made. And I didn't even know it was a thing. To be quite honest, I think in the past couple of years, especially, we've grown so much as a company and like media wise that people from the Midwest and the South know that this footwear even like they know it exists now.
Mhm.
Before, I feel like a lot of people just didn't even know this kind of footwear existed.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, did you hear about the company before you moved up here, or when
Yeah, before I moved
Oh,
up here.
really? Okay.
I remember my first conversation that I called in and asked about employment after I had um, what was it? After I had applied online and I spoke with Grant over the phone and I was like, I know you guys make some like really awesome, and I just didn't know the full scope of this place at the time.
Mhm.
And I was like, I know you guys make some really awesome like hiking boots there, which at the time we didn't really
No.
make hiking boots.
No.
But I thought, hey, Pacific Northwest, everybody hikes out there. That's what these boots are for. They're for logging and for wildland fire. That was like primarily this business,
Mhm.
5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Um, so had you worked in like manufacturing or anything before you started working
no,
here? Or
no. So I was heavily invested in being a chef. So I worked as a sous chef and
Mhm.
a line cook at many different places throughout the Midwest and even Texas. And I just decided I wanted to do something completely different. So obviously, big jump from
Yeah.
a chef to boot making, but
Yeah.
it
Very
worked
different.
out for me, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. I feel like I just recently found out you were a chef previously, and it threw me off. I forget what we were talking about, but we
We
were
were
talking
talking
about
about food and the place you went with your brother,
right. And you're
and
like, yeah, I used to work in a place like that. And this place was like $95 a person. It was like a 7-course meal.
yeah, no, I used to work at like a lot of places that it was like small plates and like um they would have like a lot of like prefix menus, like where you couldn't order, you just
Right.
went in and like there was a set menu in there.
Yeah. I think it really threw me off because you're the guy who was like, hey, let's have a parking lot hot dog grill
You
off.
have to be
And
able to appreciate both. I mean, you can have a you can put caviar on a hot dog and love it.
no, that sounds great. I need to try that.
Yeah.
So being a chef, I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of the cube rule of food?
The cube rule?
The cube rule of food. This is applicable because we're eating cobbler.
Okay.
And you're a
Can you
big fan of
explain it
hot
to me?
dogs? Yes.
Okay.
So the debate came up mostly, I think it originated from New York's like food tax rules. They lumped hot dogs in with sandwiches, and a big debate came up of like whether a hot dog's a sandwich or not. And then social media took it and was like, well, Pop Tarts and raviolis are the same thing because of how they're made.
Okay.
And it became chaos.
I just
And
I
eventually someone's like, all right, we need a rule for this. So the cube rule of food has to do with um, where the starch is, the layers of starch
Mhm.
in the meal. So it goes 1 layer of starch is toast, 2 layers of starch with something in between is a sandwich, 3 layers of starch is a taco, which means hot dogs are tacos. And it also means this cobbler we're eating is technically upside down toast.
You did way too much research into this.
I just
You
found this
really
out
did.
recently.
That's kind of
and
funny, but
it's
that was
hilarious.
like people take that way too much
Mhm,
way too
mhm.
seriously. Yes.
My another favorite part of this to me is if it's covered on all sides by starch, it's a calzone. So hot dogs are a taco, corn dogs are a calzone. What are your thoughts on
um please don't make things too complicated.
that? It's my hard hitting question for the
Yeah,
interview.
please don't make things that complicated.
I just thought it was hilarious. I honestly did it for the reaction from Kelsey behind the camera when I told her that this cobbler is toast.
Nope.
Technically, you're wrong though.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There's a rule about it now, so you're
Yep.
wrong.
No comment.
you're gonna get lit up online now.
So back to boots. So you were a chef previously, never worked in manufacturing before, um, and you ended up making the switch from production to sales.
Mhm.
I mean, what was your reason for that?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot that went into that. I think at the time I was having like a little bit of a like what do I want to do with my life crisis. And as much as I love boot making, I mean, we've grown so much in size. It used to be there was like 15 to 17 people back there making boots, and I was able to talk to the guy across from me. It was just me and one other bottomer, and that was it
Mhm.
when I started. Obviously, that's changed pretty drastically. Um, it's pretty loud back there. A lot of people have their headphones on all day.
Sure.
Um, and I just got to a point where I was like, I think I want to be able to talk with people and engage with new people every day.
Mhm.
And that's why I was looking into sales
Sure.
jobs. It came up that, our CEO and I talked, and there happened to be a position in store here. So I made the jump to the store, which
Right.
having the bootmaking experience and then going into sales, and I knew nothing about sales, but I had that description and a way to explain what it went into the bootmaking process because I made them for like over 2 years.
Right.
So that certainly helped.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you first got the job, did you expect to be working in production?
Yeah, I expected to work. I wanted to work in production
Gotcha.
from
Okay.
the start
Yeah.
because I wanted to be making the boots.
I mean, it's pretty
Now
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
it's maybe I'm like a little bit more of a boot nerd, a Reddit boot nerd now. I think I've turned more into that in that direction.
Mhm.
But I love being able to explain our product to people.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I think is really cool about working here.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty unique having, manufacturing, production, and sales, customer service, and even marketing, media generation all in one building.
Mhm.
Small goods, even as well. It gives everyone kind of that opportunity to find where they feel like they fit the most. I mean, you moving from production to sales is not unique. We've had people move from sales to
Yeah.
production,
Thank you for
revolving
saying
cutting.
that I'm not unique. I
Well, I
really
mean,
appreciate that. Yeah. No, I'm just joking with you.
but
Obviously, we've had people do that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've had people move from sales to production. We've had people move from production to sales. Someone in sewing works in customer service now. And there's Luke who's moved all
Oh
around
yeah, he has
production,
been all around
sales,
now.
small goods now. We have someone who worked in production and finishing and is now doing small goods. Um, it's just really cool having kind of that opportunity. Like
Yeah,
even
and I feel like a lot of places don't like allow you to make those jumps.
right,
We're lucky that we have a team here
yeah,
that is like we want you to stay here and we want you to ultimately be happy and
hmm
thrive. If you need to move, departments and do something completely different, but you still know our product,
yeah,
we're gonna try to make that happen.
yeah, absolutely. Like when I first started here, um, I was talking about working here, and their Grant was kind of asking me like, "What do you want to do?" Because I worked old job, worked in sales, but also fixed, repaired shoes, and so I had a little bit of experience in both. And I get it. Like being able to work with your hands is really nice. I kind of like having that mix. I'm like you though. At the end of the day, I was like I'd rather be engaging with people.
Mhm.
Um, Sales speaks to me a little bit more than production does. And so Grant was like, "Sure, okay, yeah, we'll put you in sales then." Um, but it is nice. Like I know you with customers occasionally will go back there and you'll work on their shoes for them when production goes home.
Yeah, there's some like small stuff now that I'm like, all right, I don't need to make the production guys like take out a sock liner or replace a
Right,
heel
right.
cap. I'm like, I can just do this myself really quick.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make somebody else do it.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but for me, it's kind of nice being able to find an excuse to every once in a while walk back there and just kind of work my
Yeah,
hands and do it myself.
yeah.
Kind of nice having that mix.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, so you've been in sales for when did you make the switch?
Let's see, late August, September.
Okay.
So it hasn't been a full
Right.
year yet, but
Man,
yeah.
feels like forever ago.
Yeah, it definitely does. It feels like I remember the first day like changing to sales. I felt like everyone back there was kind of like looking at me like, this is very bizarre. You are a boot maker.
hmm
Like, why are you back here?
Sure.
And I kind of felt the same way.
It's
But
it's a whole different world, huh? Working on
yeah,
the
certainly. No, but I've
front
enjoyed
facing
it.
side.
I've enjoyed it, especially, all the side projects I've been able to do and like going to Arizona to show our
Yeah.
product too. Like that was a really wonderful opportunity. I love planning things like that. It makes me really happy. So
Yeah. I feel like it really gives you an appreciation for what we do too. It's one thing to be building the boots every day, but then when you actually get to engage with the customers
Mhm,
and man, I mean, there's a lot of people who are like super grateful for being able to get the boots that we make them,
mhm.
getting something reliable, especially like I'm sure you experienced that in Arizona
Yeah,
at the Wildfire Academy.
I did. I heard a lot of people's, their stories where they were like, "Oh man, I've been wearing a pair of beaters for like the past couple of years, but I used to have a pair of Knicks, best boots I ever owned."
Yeah.
And like it just, yeah, it seemed like a whole different world for them. They're like, "Yeah, I kind of want to get back into that."
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. Every once in a while, we'll get emails to the point of like, "Your boot saved my foot," kind of thing, or
Yeah,
they hit it
the
with an
skid mark
axe, or
one. Yeah,
yeah, and that just blows my mind. Someone's like, "Yeah, I still have a foot because of your boots."
I had a chainsaw guy come in about a month ago. He's like, I need to get him rebuilt, and I just like told him the time frame and the cost, and he's like, dude, I don't care. These things like saved my foot. And he
Right.
showed me the front of it, big gash, and it's just
Jeez.
cut up like shredded into the steel.
Wow, that's insane. So I mean, making that switch, were there any like what were the biggest challenges for you?
um, Understanding our customer base, because I didn't know. I mean, our customer base used to be like primarily work boots, right? It used to be primarily wildland loggers, anyone that worked a blue collar job, kind of. It's kind of changed over the years. We've adapted to have more dress and heritage boots as well. So you get a good mix of everyone coming in here, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you took a load off of my shoulders because I worked store a lot before you made the
Hmm.
switch over. So I've experienced that. Especially working on Saturdays, you'll have people who fly in or drive for
Hmm.
hours because they're just a fan of the brand and they want a really cool pair of boots. And then at the same time, you'll have customers walk in, locals. We're just like, yeah, I need another pair of boots. I've been buying your boots for 20, 30 years now, and it's time for another pair.
Hmm.
It's interesting kind of dealing with that mix of customer.
Yeah. I mean, certainly you can get somebody from like even out of country.
Hmm.
We had a couple that came from the country of Georgia a couple months
Wow.
ago, which I thought was like really cool. They came here just to be fitted for a pair of boots,
That's
and so that
amazing.
says something about our brand.
Yeah, I think that is probably the longest distance. Like personally, I've ever experienced someone come to the store. I've had people fly across the country. I don't think I've ever had anyone come from another country. That's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. They flew to Spokane just to get our boots.
Yes,
That's incredible.
yes, and it only solidifies my belief in this company
Yeah,
when I see
absolutely.
things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I'm blown away sometimes when people are like, "Yeah, I just flew in. Cool. What are you doing in Spokane? I'm here to get boots." Like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
like
wow, okay.
somebody coming here
Let
from
me
like
roll
LA.
out the red
They're like
carpet for you, and
they're here for the day. I just
yeah,
came from LA just for boots, and then
yeah.
I'm flying back tomorrow. So
Do you ever have that experience where someone makes a trip out? They're like, I want to get the whole experience. I want to get fit.
Mhm.
You sit them down, you take the measurements, and then like the first pair of boots you grab, they're like, this fits great. You're like, wow. Well, I mean, I guess we're done. I wish I got it wrong the first couple times so that like this could take longer to get it right. But
We're not done. Like, fitting in store is only one part of this place. If I guess for people viewing this, I mean, if you do come in store, you're able to actually, feel a tangible object in your
yeah,
hand, which certainly helps you make your decision for leather. So with a lot of people come in store, they're like, there was so many options on the website that I just decided to come in here. They might
hmm,
not be like super computer savvy people.
sure,
So they're like, yeah, I just came in here, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. There's a ridiculous amount of options that we have on our website, and sometimes it's a curse.
yeah, yeah. you know um I think you've done a great job too of like making all those options apparent in the store.
Mhm,
It's kind of cool walking around and it's almost like a physical version of the online store. You've got leather samples out and everything else.
mhm.
Makes that buying experience a little bit nicer. um do you have working in store, do you have any interesting stories or anything that you could share,
Uh,
or even in production?
I don't
But
know. I mean, we certainly have our fair share of
I guess the Georgia
stinky
trip
foot
is-
people. I mean, that's one of them. Unfortunately,
You're not
it's part of-
desensitized to it yet?
Oh man, I never will be. Sometimes
man,
it's real bad.
You will eventually.
Sometimes I put them back in the box. I get the box open tomorrow, and I'm like, that guy did something to these boots, and they're just not right.
Eventually you get desensitized to it. I was fitting people in person for like 6 or 7 years, and it got to a certain point where it's like, can't smell leather anymore, and I can't smell feet anymore. One of those is a blessing. One of those is a curse. It's funny when people walk in and like, oh man, this place smells amazing. And you're like, yeah, I guess I don't smell it anymore.
Yeah. I think, one of the coolest things was like being able to make my own boot, or at least part of
yeah.
it. Like the Packers I'm wearing right
Mhm.
now, I made like half of this boot, which is a pretty cool thing to say. And I was really big on Rose Anvil, and unfortunately I was at the time I was getting married in Arizona, and I just said, hey, I really really love um your YouTube channel, and he ended up like he wrote me a message on a midsole, he like in Sharpie, and and it was like, thanks for the support, and I used that midsole and I put it on my boot, and that's just part of my boot now.
Wow,
So
really?
that's like a cool thing that I can say.
That's awesome. Wait, so he wrote you like a letter on a midsole?
No, it was just like a little Sharpie message on the midsole, and I took that midsole and I made it my boot.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's
So you've got Weston's little note on your Packers?
yeah.
Which, by the way, what are those? Those are
British tan, but
British tan,
I've
toe bug and
really,
all.
I've really oiled these guys up
yeah, they've darkened up quite a
a
bit.
little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, how many pairs of Knicks do you have?
Oh shoot. I've got 3 pairs of Packers now, which I'll continue doing until we drop that Western boot. As soon as that Western boot comes out, I will be the first one ordering a pair. I've already decided that. I've already told everybody here that.
Yep.
Because I've been waiting for it for years.
Yeah.
To the point where like I'm actually getting like emotional about that boot, because I've asked Schuyler and Grant about it for years. At first it was kind of a joke, and then when I heard you guys were like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I hope they get on this, because I've been waiting for this moment for years.
Yeah, I mean, it
working here.
clearly fits with your style.
Yeah.
I think when we were talking about it, we were immediately like, oh, Nick's going to be the first one to get it.
Yeah.
I also have been really excited about it. Like I said, I worked at a store previously. It was primarily a Western boot store.
Mhm.
Also carried Knicks and Whites and other work boot brands for some reason. But so like as soon as I started here, I think that was one of the first things I said to Grant, like, we have to do a Western boot. We have to.
Yeah. Which I mean, we did a line of them in, was it 06, I believe?
A while ago, yeah.
Where we used Canadian West uppers, and then the rest of the boots were built here. Someone found a pair at a thrift store a while ago, which was a really cool find, and I'm like, you got to hold on to those. I wish we still had them around here, but
yeah. It's pretty awesome. I mean, being able to go to a thrift store and like find one of our boots from 20 years ago, especially here in Spokane, you have pretty high chances of it.
What's funny is like they look like, I mean, like some of them are just like beat to hell.
Yeah,
they're still like they might be like $150 still. Like they retain their value.
Absolutely, yeah. You can just get them rebuilt and they're like new again. In fact, I have uppers from a pair of Packers from, I think the date stamp on it is 2000.
Wow.
That I think Nathan spotted them and grabbed them for like $1 because it was at the Goodwill outlet where they sell it by weight.
Wow.
It's where Goodwill sends the stuff they can't get rid of. So they just have bins.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And so I've got those. I'm gonna be rebuilding here soon.
That's pretty sweet. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
But right now I've got too many pairs of Knicks. I mean, you really only need 1, maybe 2 pairs.
Don't listen to him. He's wrong. You can never have too many pairs.
All right,
boots.
you're right. You know, I'm gonna keep ordering them no matter what, because I love wearing them, and I'm gonna get more pairs.
I'm well past the double digits, and I'm still considering more boots. Do you have a favorite of the ones you own? I know your favorite will be the Western when it comes out.
It will be. It certainly will be. I think the ones I'm wearing right now, just because these boots have like a bit of a story for me, and I built part of them. And I think these also look the best out of the boots that I have. I got them resold from a leather sole to a V-bar sole, which actually holds up. I mean, a leather sole looks nice, but it's just for dress.
It's slippery. Walking on carpet in a leather sole is it's treacherous,
uh,
especially when they're
yeah,
new.
yeah.
Um, so 3 pairs of Packers, you said?
3 pairs of Packers, and I got a pair of Chelseas, and
Oh,
then
right.
my wife's boots, which are like sort of a modified Builder Pro. I think you remember fitting her. I think
Mhm,
you
mhm,
fit her
mhm.
actually.
Yeah,
Which yeah, sometimes it's tough fitting. We've tried to
sure,
accommodate
yeah,
more like women's styles over the
yeah,
years. Sometimes that can be tough, but we're actively changing things to make that better.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I've always found it, like, the smaller the foot gets, the more difficult it gets because
mhm.
proportions. Um, and yeah, I remember she's like a 3. It was a small size,
No,
wasn't
it
it?
wasn't as it was.
Unless I think I might be
But it
confusing it with
was,
a
I think she did H&W at first, and then she decided to go with 55. She liked the 55 more,
gotcha.
which I'm all for the 55.
Yeah,
I got a pair of Chelseas that were the prototypes,
yeah,
passed down from another cobbler here, and they were just too big for him. So,
gotcha.
um,
Yeah, I do remember there were some challenges
yeah.
getting her fit up, which I'm sure you can relate to that now that you've
Yes, now
switched
that
sides to
there are
sales.
certain things up here that I am like, I was frustrated with. I think that
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
literally I was frustrated
yeah,
with you at one point
yeah. No, I know.
because
Yeah.
of this. And then now after fitting in store, I feel like I've kind of come full circle, and
hmm It's not easy,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
especially when there's a difficult size, custom uppers, modifications, things like that. I always get a little nervous, like after like sometimes I'll feel 100% confident when I'm fitting the person, but then 6 months comes around and they show up, and I remember I'm like, oh right, you had all this you needed this extra stuff,
Mhm.
and I'll just be like sitting there chewing my nails while they're going to put the boot on. Like, did I get it right? Did I get it right?
That's why. So the custom fitting thing, that's always an interesting
Yeah.
conversation. And you really don't like I'm doing the same thing that Grant was doing a while
Yeah.
ago with sizing,
Mhm.
where I went from a C, I'm going up to like a double E, which seems pretty drastic. Really, leather is pretty forgiving
Yeah.
over time. If you really, really want something and you really, really work it, it's probably going to mold to the foot over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I think that's been one of the biggest like growths we've made as a company in the last couple of years is like that understanding of like the boot shouldn't hurt.
Mhm.
The customer should be happy when they put it on and lace it up. And leather is going to do the rest of the work for us because it's such an amazing material. Just give it time and it'll
Yeah.
mold to your foot shape.
One thing I tell people too with having slip like front to back slip
Hmm.
is some of that like you have to give it time because you have to create divots on the
Sure.
footbed.
Yeah.
Um, so for instance, like I can take my boot off and I can put my hand in there. I can feel where all my feet splay out, and it's like little spoons,
Hmm.
which is why like over 95% of our customer base just uses the leather insole
Yeah.
because it's going to mold to the toes and the actual ball of the foot. It
Yep.
just to me it makes more sense. If you
Absolutely.
want to use an insole, you can, but to me the leather insole makes so much more
Yeah.
sense.
So when you're fitting someone in store, I'm just curious now because I've stepped away from in store so much. Are you guys using like a tape measure at like 3 different spots and using a Brannick device, or like how do you go about that?
I will use Brannick device. The issue that I have with the Brannick device is it measures lateral width and not
Hmm.
height of the instep,
Right.
height the ball of the foot, hammer toes, things of that nature. So I will see lateral width. I'll grab them something that's close to it, and then we'll start fitting from there. If we need to use the tape measure, we'll use it. Usually, it's not even necessary.
Sure.
But a lot of times, I can just tell like I'll see the lateral width on the Brannick scale, but I can see like, oh, that's a pretty high instep. Maybe I'll
Hmm.
grab something a step up here.
Yeah.
And also like for the most part, I was just explaining this to somebody online too, but sizing should be the same throughout whatever last you choose here. Um, However, the 55 and 67, those like both accommodate like a high instep a little
Right.
bit better than an H&W. Every one of them has their pros and cons. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's I think one thing, and we were just talking about our change in like fitting method. Um, I was taught when I first started fitting people at the old store There was no Brannock device. There was no tape measure. I was literally taught to take off your shoes, keep your socks on, please. What size do you normally wear? And I would just eyeball and go grab something, bring it back, and have them try it
boy.
on, which sounds
My eyes sound
crazy
scary.
and scary. And there were some people who were like, this is ridiculous. He just like looked at my foot and grabbed something. He's not fitting me. But at the same time, I feel like it gave me this perspective of like ignore the numbers, because I feel like that's one of our issues is we got tied up like with the 3 different measurements, and like you've got all these different measurements and numbers, and it's not matching this, but the customer really likes how this feels. And so
Yeah.
when I was fitting someone, it was put it on, check where the toe is, check width a little bit, but mostly how does that feel. And ultimately I feel like that is really what matters when it comes to fitting. So it's interesting seeing that change, but I feel like most customers, like even with our DIY sizing guide, we've simplified it and like, yeah, just get what you normally wear, and seeing a huge spike and customers happy with the size.
I will never tell someone this is your arch type. This is what you need to wear. A lot of times that just ends badly. And because there's so much personal preference involved, it's better to like let somebody go their own way.
Yeah.
Even if I think, like, for instance, I had somebody come in here from Arizona. I fitted them at like a 6.5. They walked out with like an 8.5 with an insole. And I was like, if you're happy, then I am too.
Yeah.
While I probably wouldn't do that myself, the customer was happy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
ultimately, that is what matters
Yeah,
more.
everyone's got their own personal preferences. Like everyone's been talking about their sizes here. I wear from like a C to an F, from an 11 to a 12, and it's just like,
Yeah, that's a big range, but leather's forgiving.
Yeah.
Like we were just saying, right?
yeah. I think part of it is like, am I going to be wearing these in the office? Do I want these to feel like slippers right away? Am I going to be going on a hike? Those types of things. But it's just really interesting. I think you've been doing an amazing job, by the way. I don't think I've said that enough.
Thank you.
You've really taken the store as your own and done a great job. It's just a shame you're abandoning us for.
Oh man, I'm
Leavenworth.
not abandoning you guys, but
No, but you are moving.
yeah.
Still be working with us, but
yeah, still be working with the company.
those will be big packers to fill for whoever's working the store next.
Yeah, I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, you'll be able to train them, get them up to speed. Going back to your boots, I got a kind of a 2-part question here. What is your favorite leather, personally, like for your own boots? And it could be currently. That changes all the time.
Yeah, I haven't tried enough like Wicked and Craig to be able to fully understand it. I really love the Buck right now.
Buck Brown,
yeah,
and the double stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got some amazing actually, we got some right behind us.
Yeah.
For my own, I think the Brown CXL Packers are my favorite just because they've aged so nice.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like I have some just standard black boots, and my next pair I'm not even gonna wear because I'm gonna wear them in the Patina Thunderdome. So
oh right,
those are not-
right.
I think Luke has inspired me to do that. So
That'll be cool.
Trying that
Yeah,
this
you'll be
year,
the
so.
you'll probably be the only person wearing Packers in the Patina Thunderdome,
Yeah.
which I think will be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So second part of the question. This goes back to your bootmaking days. Was there a leather that was your least favorite to work on?
Oh, geez. This would probably have to do with lasting because there's lasting certain leathers. Dress leathers were fine. They're always easy to last. They're always easy to pull up over the boot. Probably the max supports. Primarily the smooth ones, the smooth out ones were always like really tough to last. We always the work leathers we put in water, to soften them up and then last them. However, once that you only have so much time to last the boot and then it gets dry.
Right.
So we got spray bottles over there, but the max supports are always pretty tough to last, I would say.
Gotcha.
And then lacetos. Oh man.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've got
I don't like
two layers of leather.
Those were never fun. Between that and the caulk boots.
Oh yeah. Which you did a lot of those soles yourself, didn't you? Weren't you like the primary person for a little bit?
Yes, because I think Mike passed it down because he was like, "This is terrible. I don't want to do this." And now I think the same thing that he thinks.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the only sole option where we pretty much make the sole ourselves. You cut
Yep.
it to shape, right? And then you punch every hole out, and you have to add the little washers for the
I mean, it
spikes.
might be like, what is it, like $800 right now?
Mhm. It's underpriced.
It is actually underpriced. When you think about it, we
Mhm.
do like 4 times the amount of labor on that boot
Yeah.
in comparison to a regular boot. There is a reason that it is that cost.
Yeah. It should probably be more money considering it's also got a lineman shank, lineman patch. Most of the time it's taller than a 10-inch upper for a lot of people who want the tall old school cork boots. Um, Plus the shaping of like the spring heel. There's a lot that goes
Yeah,
into it.
there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. I've talked to Mikey about that a ton.
That is a boot where it never gets passed along to anyone new because it is, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting you say max support leather because this is something I've realized talking with people back in production. Seems like each kind of station has their own least favorite, like hardest to work on, and it's never the same. Like you ask Mikey, and he's like max support leather all day long.
Yeah.
I can stitch those, no problem, piece of cake. And he hates working with the heritage leathers because that's really hard on the stitcher, whereas lasting is probably a whole lot easier because it stretches easy. It's really interesting. It's tough from a sales side to be like, okay, when we're talking about new models and new offerings, and you're like, okay, well, this works for them, so no problem. And then it gets to the next station, you're like, yeah, we can't do this. This leather doesn't work. It's like, oh, I didn't even consider that would be a problem. And it's really interesting trying to get all those.
For some departments it's very easy to deal with that leather, and for other departments it's very difficult.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's any leather that everyone loves to work on.
No, I don't.
Because I thought max support was the one. I thought our work leathers, tread and trude, black work leather, everyone loves that.
I'm
But
sure
I've heard the same thing from sewing
for
where
lasting.
Yeah.
Other people are going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
That max support is always just tougher to last.
Tougher to last. I've heard it's tougher to sew, just because it's thicker, not as flexible. Same reason. But then bottoming, sanding, stitching, loves it because it doesn't show any marks. Goes through the stitcher no problem. So it's really interesting. I'm curious. We've talked about working production, working in sales. What is overall your favorite thing about working at Nix? Other than working with me.
One. You're hilarious. Because every time I come over to your desk, you look like you don't want to see me.
Because I know.
Especially if I come over to your desk with Taylor's tape, there's an issue. What was that?
He just ignored you.
I didn't even hear you.
I said, is it working with me?
I do really enjoy working with you. I really enjoy working with everybody here.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify. I just know anytime anyone walks to my desk, they have a problem. A product issue. There's a customer who wants to talk.
I've complimented you a couple times.
I appreciate that.
Sometimes I've said, hey.
And you're just buttering me up because you've got. Thank you.
Yeah. That was an example of a compliment. That wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't a real compliment.
No,
it was just an example of what a compliment might sound like.
Like I could say, you look pretty darn good today, but that's just an example.
Gotcha. Okay. I could say I really like your bolo tie.
Yeah, you should say that actually.
No, I'm not going to. So back to my question. What's your favorite thing about working at Nix?
Probably meeting new people.
Okay.
The experience of the new people, especially the experiences that I've had with people that have had Nix for a long time that come back after a few years and they tell me the stories of their boot and why they keep coming back to us.
Sure.
Those things that solidify my belief in this company keep me here.
Right on. That's a great answer. The customers are going to love that one. No, but I honestly, I'm with you. Talking to the customers, it's pretty amazing. We already kind of brushed over that a little bit. Did you enjoy your experience working in production? Are you happy you started in production before you moved to sales?
Yes. Even though I was at a time where eventually I felt like I want to do sales and I want to talk to people and I'm unhappy doing this. I think if I could work in production 2 days a week and work in sales like 3, that would be like the best combination.
I feel like everyone kind of needs to experience that a little bit of like, starting your career path. People get kind of stuck in a certain type
Mhm.
of job, blue collar, white collar, sitting at a desk, working in production, working with your hands. I guess labor versus, office job.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
No,
It can be
absolutely
both.
not. I agree. I'm totally with you, and that's again, I really like being able to work here because I kind of do this every once in a while. I'll go back and be like, this person needs us to tear down the boots because they're having an issue. I'm just going to do it myself.
Mm.
Because honestly, it's nice to go back there, especially after production goes home and it's
Oh
quiet
yeah,
and
when
like,
after like I was saying, like over the past couple years, we've like hired so many more people on that it's like it's very noisy back there now.
sure, yeah,
But
absolutely,
after everybody's gone, and go back there and it's quiet and you can do your work back
hmm
there. It's kind of peaceful.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes I'll go back there and I'll start like tearing her heel off, and I get almost like flashbacks of the old days working at the old shop, and it's like I need to throw on some like Dean Martin or something because the little cobbler Vito is going to be dancing behind me. I swear. But yeah, I just think it's really cool uh, being able to experience that and trying to figure out like where you fit, what works best for you. Like my brother Tyler worked in production, and he is, I think, he's a laborer through and through. That's what he likes to
Mhm.
do. He likes to work with his hands. He's someone who was fine with working in production, headphones on, don't talk to me. I'm working.
He was a man of few words,
He
even when I tried to talk to him.
Yeah.
But a great sander at that.
Honestly, he's the type of person, I'm kind of the same way. He's very quiet until he gets comfortable with you, but then when he gets comfortable with you, you wish he would stop talking.
Yeah,
I might just be saying that because he's my brother.
I don't know, but
But, but no, it's just everyone's kind of got their own thing, um, and it's nice being able to figure that out here.
Mhm.
I think we recently just talked about this in another podcast episode. There's a lot of things we can do,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of things that just don't make sense for us to do for a lot of different reasons. Like you don't want to disappoint a customer. You never
Right,
want to disappoint a customer.
right.
And
It
when
makes me
someone
sad when I
walks through the door and either they got some maybe not 100% correct information, and they're expecting a different experience, it hurts a little bit where it's like I'm really sorry. I understand what you're looking for, but we're not going to be able to meet those needs for you.
Mhm.
Um, we try our best to meet those needs. The more custom stuff we do, the longer lead times are, um, the higher chance of it going wrong, something getting missed, one number off, and the whole thing messes up.
Right.
And we've taken the time to like look at the data and be like, okay, this is what we know works. This is what people are most happy with.
We have so many hands that
Sure.
touch the one
Yeah.
ticket
Yeah.
that is the build of materials that um it would work if maybe one person was touching that ticket and the same person that sold you the boot went back there and made
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Which is why, I mean, most bespoke bootmakers, it's like one person doing the
Mhm.
whole thing. You might be waiting 2 years for those boots, but the one person is going to be helping you from the start of your order to shipping it out. I feel like we do a good job though of like finding that happy medium of
Mhm.
like where there's still 60, almost 70 of us here. We can still build boots at a high rate, get a lot of customers' orders filled, and not that long of a wait. I mean, it's 6 months, but at the
Mhm.
same time, we offer an insane amount of options as is.
Yeah. For anyone wondering whether, they should get like for first time buyers, just get the quick ship. Just
Honestly, yeah,
don't
yeah.
uh
Get what you know works. You'll be very happy with it, especially because you'll get it a lot sooner.
Mhm. When people wait like 6 months for a boot, there ends up being like a lot of like changes to the boot
Sure.
sometimes that are unnecessary, and the initial gut reaction size was like the right one to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah. It can sour the experience. But I mean, going back to your experience as a chef, it's like if you order something and it takes 30 minutes to an hour to get out, it could be delicious, but you waited so long that your taste is kind of soured a little bit for it, and the experience
Yeah,
isn't quite the same. Um, so yeah, quick ship in stock boots.
yeah.
That's definitely the way to go.
That being said, with like I do have an example of positive experience that I had in store
Okay.
recently.
Yeah.
It was a customer that had a medical condition in which they had an ankle brace,
Mm,
and sometimes those things are tough to work around.
yeah.
But I took, the other foot was like something simple, like a 10D, and then the other foot was like a super custom build that had to be built around an ankle brace. And I saw him come back in here later, and I got him fitted and tied up the boots, and they worked. And I just saw the look on his face, and like that means everything to me.
Yeah.
Because he told me that he's getting married in the boots
Oh
too. So
wow, that's amazing.
that was a cool
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, those experiences
Um,
are some of the best.
yeah.
When it's like not only is this person going to use this boot every day, not only do they really like the boot, but it's like physically helping them
Mhm.
with their just day to day. I had a similar experience. A guy came in. His name's Tyler. I won't throw his last name out, but we still talk pretty frequently. He'll email me every once in a while. Came in right after visiting a prosthetics place in Seattle
Mhm.
to get a brace, where he had been in a wheelchair before that, and was like, I used to be in forestry, and then I had this accident. I've been in a wheelchair ever since. Finally have a brace. I can finally walk. I'd love to get some boots. And so we got him set up with just a pair of boots, not for work.
Mhm.
And then he got them, and he's like, "These are amazing." Sent me an email. He's like, "I'm out doing forestry work again for the first time
That's
in
awesome.
years." Yeah, and it was one of the best experiences. He was stoked on it. Turns out he was from a town, like the next town over from where I grew up, and he sent a friend up to come get boots.
Oh man.
Also, I think he's
Small
on
world.
pair. He's gotten 2 pairs now. He's got one order in for just like a nice dress pair,
Mhm.
and then another order in for a pair of cork boots. Actually,
Oh, that
that
they'll
he's
have fun
gonna
making
go.
those.
He's
Yeah.
gonna go do logging in those boots. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Those experiences
Sounds like
are
it came like a really long way.
yeah, yeah. He
That's
just
pretty
happened to be
cool.
up in Seattle, and then which I mean, again, those things are hard to accommodate, especially online. But when someone walks in the store and they're like, "I have this medical need,"
Yeah.
we do everything we can to take care of it. And yeah, those end
Mhm.
up being honestly, in some cases, some of the easiest because it's like it just has to work.
Mhm.
It's not someone looking for like the perfect fit.
Yeah.
And then also some of the most rewarding
Mhm.
in my experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I one last question for you before we end it. Um, when you get your Western boots, do you have the build already specked out what you want?
I don't so also I don't know if I'm just ordering a new pair, because I guess we'll speak more with Grant about this, but there's a pair that one of the boots is built, but the other one is not built. I tried it on. The
Mm,
fit is perfect.
the prototype boot.
Yes, so I'd kind of like to have the other one. We'll see if I can get him to do that.
Okay. So if you were going to order a pair,
Yeah.
what would your build be for the Western?
Hmm. I would probably do. I'd probably do a Wicked and Craig, because I just
Mm,
haven't done any Wicked and Craigs.
okay.
Um, I might do that buck, if
Ooh,
anything.
double stuffed buck
If it's
brown
if it's a possibility.
on a Western boot.
Um, I know we're kind of going in that work direction. If it's work, probably 64 brown, just because
Okay.
that 64 brown, like I got it on my most recent pair, and that's like my favorite brown work leather that we have here.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, it's just a pretty hot color in general. Like I see it ordered a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't worn a pair of Western boots in a number of years, but I'm honestly some of that bison leather
Yeah.
on a
Oh, I
Western
would
boot,
love to have that on a Western
bison
boot. Yeah.
lower, and then like a 64 brown upper, I think would be
That would be
cream of the crop.
beautiful. I would love to see it.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for spending time eating some cobbler and chatting a little bit, Nick.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Anytime.